Today, we're diving into the world of snakes. These creatures are found all over the globe, and while their presence is beneficial to the ecosystem, it can be a nightmare for those who not only fear them but also worry about being attacked. There are 27 species that, can be incredibly aggressive, especially when they feel like they're about to catch a meal. The issue arises when they bite off more than they can handle, both in a literal and figurative sense. While many animals are terrified of snakes, some are more than ready to fight back when the situation calls for it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check out this video. Number 20, Chicken vs. Snake. This story starts with a surprising showdown, a chicken facing off against a snake, specifically a king cobra, one of the deadliest snakes. The snake finds a mother hen and her chicks trapped in an alley, and while it's unclear how natural this encounter was, it's a gripping one. With a single bite, the cobra could easily kill the hen and her chicks. Yet, the mother hen doesn't back down. Instead, she fights back, pecking at the cobra, using her wings, and making herself seem like a much bigger threat. This tactic is common in the animal kingdom. By appearing larger, she intimidates the snake. Despite the cobra's persistence, the hen keeps defending her chicks, even cornering the snake so they can escape. It's only at the end of the video that the cobra finally tries to strike, but the hen dodges effortlessly. This shows that, in the right circumstances, a mother hen can be more than a match for even the most dangerous creatures. Number 19, Prairie Dog vs. Snake. Now, let's talk about the prairie dog, a creature that doesn't exactly scream, "I can take on a snake." Sure, they can be pests when in large numbers, but they're not exactly a threat to a snake capable of quickly attacking and consuming prey. But here's where people underestimate them. Prairie dogs are incredibly smart, brave, and protective. In a clip from a Discovery Channel documentary, a rattlesnake enters a prairie dog area. The prairie dogs, with their sharp senses, alert each other with unique barks. When the snake gets too close to a pup, a mother prairie dog steps in. Despite facing a venomous rattlesnake, she doesn't aim to fight. Instead, she cleverly lures the snake away from the pups and signals the all-clear once it's safe. Prairie dogs may be small, but they're resourceful and brave. Number 18, Honey Badger vs. Snake. Today, let's talk about the infamous honey badger, made famous by a viral video. Known for its fearless nature, the honey badger takes on creatures much larger than itself and shows no fear. But, it met its match with a python. Despite its tough hide, the honey badger couldn't escape the snake's deadly squeeze. Just when it seemed over, a pair of jackals stepped in, distracting the python and allowing the honey badger to escape. In return, the honey badger helped the jackals kill the snake. However, things turned sour when the honey badger refused to share the meal, sparking a fight over the prize. Number 17, Squirrel vs. Snake. Before diving into this video, let's talk about the people filming. They're just watching this battle unfold. Why aren't they helping? At one point, one even steps in front of the camera, which is pretty annoying. Why not step in and save the creature from the snake? Not everything should be for entertainment. Now, back to the video, where an unlikely creature, a squirrel, faces off with a snake. At first, it's a standoff. The snake isn't doing much, and the squirrel sits there, completely unfazed. But when the snake gets too close, the squirrel goes wild. You might think the snake has the advantage with its speed, but have you ever seen how fast squirrels react? Sure enough, the squirrel starts darting in and out, making it clear that the snake won't be getting a meal today. The squirrel wins without ever truly fighting. Number 16, Bongo vs. Cobra. Some rivalries in nature may seem exaggerated but are very real, like the tense relationship between mongooses and snakes. The Smithsonian Channel captured an encounter between a mongoose and a cobra, which surprisingly starts with a squirrel battling the serpent. The squirrel initially does well but becomes paranoid and backs down, giving the cobra an opening. That's when the mongoose steps in, fearless in the face of danger. Despite the cobra's venom, the mongoose doesn't hesitate to protect the squirrels it has a unique bond with. The cobra manages to land a blow on the mongoose, but the mongoose is immune to its poison. The cobra retreats, knowing it can't win the fight, while the mongoose survives, wary of pursuing the snake further to avoid potential venomous bites. Sometimes, wild encounters end in a draw. Number 15, Rabbit vs. Snake. You might be wondering, how could a rabbit possibly defend itself against a snake, especially since snakes often prey on rabbits? Well, things aren't always as simple as they seem. In this video, we witness a worst-case scenario. A snake has entered a rabbit's nest and is squeezing the life out of one of the babies. The helpless cries of the baby rabbit are heard as humans watch without intervening. But then, the mother rabbit leaps into action, aggressively fighting the snake to protect her young. This rabbit's fierceness rivals even the most legendary fighters, chasing the snake off repeatedly. It's a powerful reminder, never mess with a mother's children. Number 14, Hawk vs. Snake. While snakes may think they're at the top of the food chain, the reality is they're not invincible. While they are apex predators in many ecosystems, that doesn't mean they're immune to being hunted. In fact, this particular snake learned that lesson the hard way when it became the prey of a red-tailed hawk. Hawks have no qualms about attacking snakes, swooping down from above and using their talons to grip the snake in a way that keeps its fangs and venom out of reach. The hawk had this one firmly in its grasp. Despite the snake's attempts to fight back, the hawk effortlessly asserted its dominance. When it comes to predators and prey, size and skill matter, and it just wasn't the snake's lucky day. Number 13. Cobra vs. Monitor Lizard. As we saw with the mongoose, there are certain animals that seem perfectly designed to take on snakes, with the ability to endure almost anything a snake can throw at them if they strike. Monitor lizards are a prime example of this. These creatures can face off against some of the world's most dangerous snakes, including the black cobra. It does demonstrate how a monitor lizard can literally bite back at a black cobra, leaving the snake with little to do except strike and hope for the best. Interestingly, as pointed out in the comments, the snake appeared far more interested in the cameraman trying to get the perfect shot of the battle, rather than the monitor lizard it was repeatedly biting. So, whether the snake has an impressive tolerance for pain, or just couldn't care less about being bitten and wanted to see what the cameraman was up to, remains a bit of a mystery. Number 12. Dogs vs. Snakes. This next video is a compilation of various encounters between snakes and dogs, raising an important question: are dogs truly the best defense against snakes? The answer, for the most part, is yes, and here's why. Dogs have incredible senses, particularly their sense of smell. This allows them to detect the presence of dangerous snakes, especially when they're unfamiliar with the surroundings. There are even videos showing dogs coming to their owner's rescue, warning them of lurking threats they might not be aware of. Another advantage dogs have is their impressive biting power, which you'll see in action throughout this video. They can grab hold of a snake and shake it, minimizing the risk of being bitten. However, the catch is that if they face a venomous snake, there's a real danger of poisoning. Most dogs don't have immunity to venom, so their safety shouldn't be taken lightly. Still, many dogs will bravely confront snakes, recognizing them as a threat that must be dealt with. Some breeds have even been specifically trained to seek out and neutralize snakes. Number 11. Giant centipede versus a snake. I'm going to give you a heads up before we dive into this one, because it's definitely on the unsettling side. A snake thought it had found an easy meal when it stumbled upon a giant centipede, but what it really did was serve itself up as a feast for the centipede instead. The giant centipede is a formidable creature, and it's not afraid to take on a snake every now and then to add some variety to its diet. It's pretty gross, I won't lie, but as I warned you earlier, this is not for the faint of heart. What makes this even more chilling is that giant centipedes are venomous, so they can match a snake's bite with venom of their own. In this battle, it's a deadly exchange of bites. As if that weren't enough, there's another disturbing tale where a giant centipede went after a snake while it was laying its eggs, a truly brutal move, attacking a creature at its most vulnerable. This all serves as a stark reminder that the animal kingdom can be an unforgiving and often harsh place. Number 10. Secretary bird versus snake. The secretary bird may not be a bird you're familiar with, but it's definitely one that snakes should fear. Built for hunting snakes, it demonstrates this trait regularly. Its Latin name translates to the catcher of serpents, which speaks volumes about its reputation. As you can see, this bird shows no hesitation when it comes to dealing with snakes. Unlike many other birds, the secretary bird spends most of its time on the ground rather than in the air, which often brings it into direct conflict with snakes. Its distinctive appearance and behavior have made it a favorite among bird watchers and a symbol of Africa's rich biodiversity. While its diet mainly consists of insects, rodents, reptiles, and small mammals, the secretary bird is especially renowned for its ability to deliver a swift, powerful strike that kills snakes. In many African cultures, it represents protection and strength, appearing on the coats of arms of both Sudan and South Africa to symbolize vigilance and power. With its impressive size and skill, the secretary bird is a formidable snake predator, and snakes should probably be thankful it doesn't have a global reach. Number 9. Weasel versus snake. Weasels are a fascinating species to discuss, especially since they're not typically known for being the kind of animals that immediately jump into a fight. Not every animal needs to be a fierce fighter, and that's perfectly fine. Thanks to how their names have been woven into popular culture, you might assume these creatures simply run away and avoid confrontation altogether. However, as this video demonstrates, weasels aren't shy about standing their ground when the situation calls for it. In this case, we see a weasel and a snake going at it, with both creatures moving energetically up and down a branch. While there isn't a clear winner in the encounter, it's clear that the weasel isn't without its own set of skills. Number 8. Hedgehog vs. Snake. You might be thinking, given the fancy topic we discussed earlier, that snakes avoid hedgehogs the same way they stay clear of porcupines due to the quills covering their bodies. While that's true to some extent, snakes know these prickly creatures are simply too much trouble to deal with. There's more to it. What you might not realize about hedgehogs is that they're actually immune to several types of venom. So, even if a hedgehog were up against something like a king cobra or the inland taipan, the venom wouldn't really affect them. This is thanks to a natural protein in their bodies that makes them resistant, even to arsenic poisoning. So, yes, snakes usually just steer clear of hedgehogs in the end.